Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the local pundit. I am Paddy Power, and this is the WREXtra Time show. Come in and have your say. Our match between Wrexham away to Huddersfield has finished just a few minutes ago, and Wrexham took all 3 points with a 1-0 win. It certainly wasn't pretty, but we got the job done. Come in and have your say. Here we go. So here we are. The match is done, and the important part is we walked away with the points. All 3 points for another away win, this time at Huddersfield. They did play quite well. They held us for a long time. Some of our passing wasn't amazing, but we did well at times. Bit of an ebb and flow match. Huddersfield obviously are trying to chase us, but have not been getting good results lately. So they are sliding down the leagues. We have taken all 3 points, keeping us in the run to take that second spot for automatic promotion, which has to be the ultimate goal of this season. Now we are so close. Was it a pretty game? No. Who cares? We will talk about it. We'll discuss the issues, but it is the pointy end of the season, people, and the only thing that matters is getting through the match with the points. Get your say in, throw everything in the comments. Obviously, guys, like and subscribe for us and do all that nice jazz that YouTube and the algorithm seem to love sometimes whenever they feel like it. But I have put the link in chat as well. This show is about you and your opinions. So come in and tell me what they are. Did you love it? Did you hate it? But let's just not get too negative today, because we took the win. Now, before we bring in our first guest, because I'm still waiting for people to come join me, so jump in, guys, and queue up. I'm going to go through the results of the day. Some good, some bad, but c'est la vie. We can't expect everything to go our way. So let me bring up the table. 2 seconds. Boom. There we go. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Excuse me. Okay, so first up on the list here, we have Blackpool versus my old pals Peterborough United. That ended in a scoreless draw, 0-0, which did not help Peterborough too much, but I suppose any point is a good point for them at the moment, trying to stay above the relegation zone. Next up then, we have a little bit of a surprise. We have Bolton Wanderers took out league winners, well, not yet, but league likely winners, Birmingham City, with a 3-1 victory. By all accounts, they dominated that match, and Birmingham may have had a bit of a stinker today, but they have so many points, I guess they probably don't care too much. Bolton are still a couple of spaces behind us, so it's not the best result in the world for us, but we still have a nice gap to Bolton. We'll have a look at the table in a moment. Cambridge lost 1-0 to Stevenage while they were at home. Charlton Athletic won 1-0 at home playing Barnsley. Huddersfield Town obviously lost to us as the away team 1-0. Lincoln City, 4 goals they racked up today at home versus Crawley Town to take the win 4-1. Mansfield Town had a draw, continuing a fairly poor run of results for them now, a significantly long run of results, but it is a point. And at this stage for them, any points will keep them above that relegation zone as well. I don't personally think they will go down this season, but it's not comfortable for them, certainly. Next up then, we have one of the best results of the day. We have Northampton Town at home, drawing 1-1 with our old pals Stockport County. Stockport County are nipping at our heels. They are one to watch, but we have now gained another 2 points on them today, which is excellent, pushing them just that little bit further behind. We had Rotherham United win their match at home, 1-0 versus Leyton Orient. Shrewsbury Town had a draw, which is no good for them whatsoever. They were at home and they're playing Bristol Rovers 0-0. Reading versus Exeter City, another draw, 0-0. Not too bad for us. Reading are not terribly far behind us. So again, excellent results, dropping points there. And Wycombe Wanderers came out with the win at home to Burton Albion 2-0. We were hoping our ex-Wrexham players might have been able to help us out there and do a number on Wycombe, but c'est la vie, it was not to be today. So with that being said, how does that translate on the table? Let's pull it up here and have a quick look. So Birmingham City are still obviously way out front, 33 matches played for 76 points. Wycombe Wanderers are second, 34 matches for 67 points. We are then in third, 34 matches for 65 points. So between ourselves and Wycombe, nothing has changed at the moment, except there is one less match to play by the end of the season. Still a 2-point gap, but we don't have to worry about them right now. In a couple of weeks, we will play them, and we could very well be above them by the time we actually go head-to-head. So they will keep for the moment. Then, as I mentioned, right behind us in fourth is Stockport County. They have played an extra match, so they are now on 35 matches and 61 points. So that gap has increased today to 4 points and allows us another game in hand on top as well. Then behind them, we have Charlton Athletic, 34 matches and 59 points. And Huddersfield then have slipped down to the bottom of the playoff positions in 35 matches and 58 points. So we also have a game in hand on them as well. Now, for them, they won't be happy that Bolton managed to take out Birmingham today, because that puts Birmingham on 34 matches and 57 points, 1 point behind Huddersfield. So it is very possible that Bolton could soon be overtaking Huddersfield and knocking them out of the playoff spots. So at the moment, who is in contention? First of all, for the auto spot is obviously Birmingham, Wycombe Wanderers, ourselves. Then following is Stockport County, Charlton Athletic, Huddersfield and Bolton Wanderers. And then you can add a couple of more who could chase into the playoffs, and you have Reading, Leyton Orient and Barnsley. At that point then, you start to get a gap to Stevenage. So I am calling it at the moment that we have 10 teams to take the top 6 positions for the end of this season. Now, down the bottom of the table, very quickly, Peterborough United have climbed up and they are now in 17th place with 38 points. Northampton 38, Exeter 37, Bristol 36, and then we hit the relegation zone. For 33 points, we have Burton Albion, Cambridge United 29, Crawley Town 29, and Shrewsbury Town 28. It is still just a little bit early to call, but I will throw it out there now. Shrewsbury Town, Crawley, and Cambridge are in big trouble and are unlikely to get out of this relegation zone. The only one who is still able, in my opinion, to break out would be Burton Albion. They are playing okay on individual matches, so I do think they will pick up points, but they have already played 35 matches, whereas some above them here, Bristol and Exeter, have games in hand. Peterborough has a game in hand, so they could climb out, but will they is a big question. But enough of the rest of the table. I am going to throw that off and we can go back to talking about Wrexham today. Now, we have got our first guest on today, and it is a newbie. So I have not had this guest on before. It is Patches in the background. Thumbs up if you are ready to go. Yo. Okay, here we go. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
How's it going, Betty? Well, obviously great. I mean, how can we not? I mean, it's the business time of the season, so results matter, and we got the result today. So, you know, I it's that time of the year. We get into March, and it's time for Wrexham to start getting results away, and that's what I take away from this game. We knew that we were a little bit more on the away left remaining games to play than on home, and our away needed to turn around, and oh, has it turned around? I mean, from a results standpoint, we've picked up four wins away through January, February, and then this first game of March. So they're very happy with the results. We needed to turn it around away. As disappointing as it's kind of been through, you know, this early part of spring, if you want to call it. I know I'm still dealing with snow up here, but I mean, we run through that. It seems like Parky tends to run through that when it's windy and cold. And as the weather starts changing, you know, so does their ability to pick up results. Wasn't pretty at times. We had some, you know, lapses defensively, but that's just the way that the game goes. You're not going to be perfect, you know, for all, you know, 90 plus. But, you know, we had to battle, and it didn't seem like we could play as physically as we wanted to. So that's the first thing I wanted to say is that, you know, I felt that the refs really didn't care about, you know, the physicality that Wrexham likes to bring, and they were blowing a lot of things, you know, short. But it didn't deter. I saw Sam Smith actually, you know, start adjusting his play a little bit, so you know, not as pressing at times to give up the cheap foul, but really it seemed like the whole team did. There was a couple instances in transition that I really felt that, you know, 2 months ago we would have just taken the really cheap foul and given up, you know, that would hurt us. And today it seemed like we trusted our shape a little bit more. You know, kind of earlier in the season, getting ourselves back into lines. And, you know, so like I said, there's still some lapses, but for the most part, there weren't those flubs that we've unfortunately been accustomed to seeing every now and then. And, you know, our way in the end with a fortuitous no call by the official. I don't, you know, we'll have to hear your say, you know, today from the community on, you know, was it offside? Was it not? You know, the other two as well earlier in the game. But hey, we get results on the road. We're getting wins on the road. And I know looking back at, you know, your 3 out of 4 for set it up, wins are extremely important, especially seeing Wickham take it away. So extremely happy from the boys today. Nervous, as every game has been, it seems like in the last 2 months, but the results matter. And I'm a happy Wrexham goer today.
Yeah, it was a good result today. I'm going to give props to Huddersfield. They did play very well, and their passing play was very good. And I felt ours at times was very good. Actually, we played a lot better. We played some nice passes. One of the issues I still have, though, is I am not seeing multiple options for passes. It seems to be the one open pass, the expected pass that seems to be on. And it's either you take that or it's not available, or they're going for very difficult long passes. And they were intercepted today, and there was mistakes with it today. There was some good chances that didn't come off from trying passes like that. And they just need to get to grips with what they're doing with that style of play. There are signs there that they could be a very good passing team. They just don't seem to be used to doing it. And that's the problem, is you have the next person waiting for the pass, but you don't have that second option, that third option, and certainly a second forward option before turning around and going negative and passing the ball back again. So that's something we need to get on top of.
Yeah, and Patty, you know, would that be because, you know, we say like, hey, if there is any chance of a turnover occurring or where we get caught on the wrong foot, that we just need to keep the ball in front of us. There was one early on. I remember Dobson was sitting in the middle, his hands up for about, you know, 15 seconds. And, you know, it doesn't sound like a long time, but he was 30 yards of space all around. And we were pinging it back and forth on the touch line on the left side. I think we were going to left or right. So it might've been the first half there. And we just, there was never the look. There was never the understanding the relief valve there. And, and that's where I think our frustrations come from, right? When we see the team and the talent and they can peel off some passes when it's the first option or, one the option. So part of me is just hope. I'm trying to stay positive. I love to be overly critical because if we do end up in the playoffs, there's going to be some very on form teams. And so I want to see our team, absolutely be on form. That's where most of it comes from, any of the negativity. But I agree. It seems like we have it in the bag. It would be nice as the weather starts warming up, the wind starts cutting down, to see us, really start, pushing that ball around the field. I love Elliott Lee in the middle. I didn't think he got far enough forward at times that he needed to. We saw a lot of Jay Rodriguez coming back in literally the middle of the pitch, which is okay, but there weren't just any overlap runs happening behind him. And so that's where I feel like we lack that consistency between being able to bring it up from the midfield to the strike force. But Lee seems to at least try to ask the question. Doesn't always come off. I see the same from Longman. Personally, I think he was a little bit leggy at times today. But they have that creativity to try. And a lot of times it's up on the field and attacking. So more of those creative presences. And that's why it would be great to try and see for one game, Rathbone, Dobson, and then Lee, with Rathbone and Lee up top. But no, overall, I think our shape was strong today. So, like I said, overall happy. Still a little bit of criticism of AO. There was one ball in particular he was really slow coming out to in the second half. Mishandled, but hopefully that's all part of just getting the confidence. Huddersfield was terrible at finishing, and hey, that's soccer, right? You get some ball luck your way every now and then. We didn't get it last week and or over the weekend, so glad to see us kind of get it, and Fletcher, being our savior once again.
Yeah, so let's hit the obvious one then. Our goal. Lovely cross in, and Sam Smith gets a head on it. Should have scored it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That absolutely should have been a goal.
Are we questioning his heading ability? Because that's two now put right into the turf. And
yes, I am.
I get you need to head it down. That's 1A. Any played football, you have to be able to get it down. But it's 2B is make sure you put it directionally away from the keeper.
Yes, not at the keeper's feet.
So. It was a decent reaction. It was right in between the goalie's feet. So keeper, the reaction on that was nice. Should have scored. What did you think from the deflection? Was that being played off of the Huddersfield defender into Sam Smith? It seemed like Sam had a decent enough, push on it to call it directed, from Sam. I would lean that it probably shouldn't have been a goal. But
I guess it depends which one you're going for. Fletcher certainly wasn't offside when he knocked it in.
So you had him even with the defender at what would have been the right post then?
He came up onto the post and played Fletcher onside then at that point. Yes.
Okay.
So I don't believe that was offside, and even if it was for the tiniest amount, you're not going to see that called from the wings, and it's a really difficult one to call. There's bodies everywhere as well, which would be blocking sightlines when you're talking about the sideline ref, fourth official calling it. So yeah, it's so minimal there. I don't have a problem with that one. And look, even if, as I say, if he was slightly off, I still don't have a problem with it not getting called. It's so minor. And these things happen. You can't be absolutely critical to the tiniest degree. It's not VAR. And they don't even know how to use fucking VAR anyway. I hate talking about VAR. For the other goals, I'm happy with them being called off. It's again,
that was gonna
if you want to argue, if you want to argue them and say maybe not, it's close enough that I'm not going to call out the ref for fucking up the call.
Yeah.
you know.
And that first chance that they had that went into the back of the net that got called back, that was again, that was the type of goal that we have been giving up, time
Yeah.
after again.
Yes.
We're trying to take the punches. We're absorbing pressure when we need to. Perfectly fine. We were giving up almost 70% of the ball for the first 30, 35 minutes. Got it closer to a 60-40 split, I think, by the end. But that was just one of those deflected balls type of things. I think EOC was coming up, not to call him out too much, but he was trying to come up and he came off of the line a little bit too much. And then by that time, the ball got deflected and a little bit behind. So, but it just seems like those little scrums, we never seem to be in the right spot. I don't know if that's just happenstance or if it's just, a little bit of anxiety of just trying to step up and do something and put ourselves out of position further. But we handled it. And then we started kind of creating chances of our own there. Which kind of leads into J-Rod had a great strike. I mean, that theme was
That rocket.
Falling to him, took it
Yeah.
right places, but that thing barely rose a foot off the ground once it was.
Yeah.
That's the most quality I've seen out of him, so far upon signing him. But I just wonder what's going on behind doors of the conversation of what they're trying to ask him to do, because he's making some runs, and this has been discussed before. There's a couple that he's trying to make runs curled off and behind through the middle of the pitch, but it's just not where we put the ball ever, and we don't even try.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We spoke about this on the pregame show, the fact that we're running a 3-5-1-1, which didn't work with Palmer and Lee up there when they were doing it, and we thought that would be the end of it. And I got called out on the early show saying that I don't want us playing it on the ground. So that's not quite true, but it's a subtle difference, but it is enough to make a difference. And I think what J-Rod seems to be doing is he seems to be trying to open up this new avenue of attack, with playing the ball on the ground and playing into the box to try and get shots off. It didn't work yet. It seems like it might. Huddersfield were just too defensively solid. I actually think I saw some better football when we were in control from all the players up the front. So a weaker team, a less defensive team, I think it might very well work. So that's kind of an interesting one, but it is coming at the loss of some of our standard formations. Because you could see today some of the best passing we could do was up the wings. It was so natural. You take the ball, you turn, you tap it to each other, and then you get it up the wing. And player running straight onto it, Longman got the ball numerous times. The issue then comes with Longman, and I'm interested to hear people's take on this one, as to how they see his play going, because he is doing things different that Barnett does not do. Barnett gets up there and he gets that shot off and he gets it in around for a header, back post. That's what he's doing. He's launching the ball in towards the back post and hoping someone gets onto it. And that's very dangerous. But Smith can't seem to head the ball. It's perfect for Fletcher when he comes on. Now, Longman is doing very different things. He is crossing the ball into danger, but he is also running it now around the box as well, and in the box. And today, for the first time, I've mentioned this a few times, I said, when is Longman going to start taking stuff on himself? And he seemed to be trying that today as well. He was looking around for who he could pass to and what channels he could open, where we could attack from, but he was also looking to attack himself and to run into dangerous positions. So we are trying new things, and it's not clicking just yet, but it seems like Parky is trying to do new things.
And that goes back to, like our lineup, because, we could go back as early as, a week and a half and saying like, hey, we need to rotate. We're in the business season. March is a gauntlet that we're going through. We got to keep people fresh. But with that same, point of going back to, we want to make sure that we have good form going forward. How often do we ride with this, this continuous lineup, barring any of the returns, from injury. But at what point do you have to say, this is a fresh-legged team? At least they look like it. We have some, youth in there, especially with Revon and then Longman on the wings. So at what point do you just say, hey, even when we have the weekend and the quick turnaround to the early week, we just need to let this unit click, because at times they look very promising, probably the most that we've seen this year. But I don't know. I don't want to see them rotate, because I want them to build chemistry. I don't want anybody to kind of be sat down and looking at, Ravon, who might just be rotated out when McLean gets back. But I mean, defensively, maybe we talk about that. I mean, I didn't see much offensively from Ravon tonight, but he did his job when it was needed, getting back into play and making sure to cycle back and give support there on that left side. I thought he did a great job coming back in D today, which is usually not said of him.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him yet. Again, I said this on the early show. He needs minutes. He needs to be comfortable on that pitch, and I think he is. Let's compare him to Maka, where Maka is solid and you know exactly what you're going to get from him. Maka is lacking some of the attacking prowess that he had previously. He's just not breaking through the defenders like he used to. Revan is a bit of an unknown quantity. He's got the youth, he's got the energy, he's trying different things, he's doing things a little random, because I guess we haven't seen enough of him yet to know exactly what his style is. And he needs that time. Now, will he come good? I hope so. And signs are looking positive. Does he have a mistake in him? Yes. Will that mistake cause us to lose a match? Maybe not. So this is the balancing act of pros and cons. You put him on, you potentially open up more attacking areas and fluidity, but he needs to work on it. So it's open to me at the moment. It's a work in progress, I guess.
Should we start looking at our wings and then the center backs as a unit as well? Because I wonder how those two are working together. Tom O'Connor in today, obviously, and I just wonder how that changes is affecting as well, like kind of that unity of being able to get up. I don't mean to say that it's Tom O'Connor as to why Revin wasn't as poignant going forward today, but it seemed like a step back offensively. Now, with that said, that might have just been what was asked of him, because I didn't think he was necessarily out of position. I don't think he hurt us by any means today. But I wonder if those outside units need to start being looked as pairs to try and get that fitting right, instead of just referencing errors that happen on the defensive end and then immediately, dropping some of the center backs options that we do have.
Yeah, absolutely. With Revan, I did mention, because Maka probably isn't ready for a 90 minutes, maybe after coming back. That could be an option as to why Revan is still playing with some of the defensive lapses he has. But he needs to make the most of it while he has it right now. And he needs to prove why these little lapses are worth the chances. And as you say, it is part of the full defensive unit as well, in how they're working. And I will say they were solid today. It was messy. It was a messy game, and there were messy chances around the box. But I wouldn't single out particular players and give them a really hard time for what they did today. There was the one pass that they intercepted that was probably the best chance of the match for a goal that they just didn't convert. When one of their players got open, I can't remember off the top of my head who did that pass. Was it O'Connor? I think it was O'Connor, a long pass towards the forwards, and it just didn't get there. Got intercepted, a straight break. I think it was, but everybody seemed to be, it looked like they were in their shape, generally speaking. We did get caught a couple of times. We did get intercepted and stuff like that. But if you're going to play it, it's going to get intercepted at some point. You're never going to be perfect. So these are the pros and cons of playing on the ground. Is you have to go around other players that actually exist on the pitch and want to stop you getting the ball to the other end of the pitch as well. So yeah.
And then last thing I would say, if you want to touch on it, is we give our strike force a lot of grief because it's their job to score. Yeah. Parting comment would be, I mean, we could have Charles, and he is just having a heck of a go. He had a beautiful. I was just biting myself because I thought that he had that one dead to rights, and he fluffed it 30 yards behind the net, and I'm just like, that is not what we saw from Bolton early in the year when he was playing. So as much as we have ups and downs in the season, again, I just say that results matter because you don't know what type of form an individual would be on when those chances happen. And more often than not right now, through a tough test of February and moving into the gauntlet of March, I will say we're at least not negative as far as form goes, and hopefully that gets built on as we move forward. So that was Charles that had that. I mean, he was on inside, probably 3 steps inside the 18 when he let that go, and I mean that had no chance whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was just checking the chat there a little bit. We have a guest here in the chat, the Terriers LMD, who doesn't like the ref, which is fair enough because his team were on the other side of the calls. And I've put out a little note there to ask if he wants to come in and join us. Be nice to get the opinions of the opposing side. But I also have one starred here from earlier. So let's talk about the ref for a minute. I want to try that. Here. Yippus. I love that the entire stadium booed the ref at halftime.
Wrexham fans were included in that.
Which at least means he was consistent in what he was doing. we may not have liked it, and they may not have liked it, but at least the fact that we're both booing him does show that he has something about his decisions.
Like I said, we've seen as Wrexham fans plenty of the physicality, especially lower half body physicality when we're going thigh to hip or stepping in front of not getting called and they get called like that. That's fine. I know that there was Max that he got, he was called for being pushed in the back or tripped up on the kind of put the ball in the ground. So I trust me, I absolutely feel that comment. And it doesn't make it any better that we feel the same way, that the ref was consistent but didn't have a good calling of the game. It's always the tough one too when you're the home team and it's just not going the way, because they had plenty of balls asking questions at times. I think if they were asked straight to it, they would say, unfortunately, we just had zero finishing ability whatsoever today.
They had chances.
Bolton, over the weekend. So,
well, we are generally a physical team. We do kind of try and push people around a little bit. And when we lose that aggressiveness, we don't seem to play as well. And sometimes the ref can hurt us in that way, depending on how they want to make their calls. Now, I will say today with the ref, especially in the first half, I thought he was inconsistent about what he was calling. He could give a very light touch and call a foul, but then 2 minutes later, he wouldn't call another one that was much heavier and looked much obvious. I don't know, did he just not want to give too many to the same team too quickly, or what actually was in his head? It did seem a little inconsistent there. And that's the one thing I have previously said as well about our play is if you get a referee who is going to blow for like easy touches, then you better change your style. You better stop kicking people. As simple as that. If you get a ref who doesn't care about you kicking each other, dragging your shirts and whatever, then shut up and get on with it and start kicking lumps out of the other team if they're doing it to you, and start pulling on the shirts if you're going to get away with it. And the other team better step up and do the same thing. So, I kind of like to stay within the rules. So let me just put that out there. I'm not for kicking people for no reason whatsoever. But you have to play within the game that the ref is going to allow you to play. Certainly.
Yeah, and I think from a carding perspective, I think it was fine. I didn't have any issues, like when he went to the book, but I think it was just more of the intraplay fouls that were occurring. To your point of just not being consistent, I think it really perturbed Sam Smith from being more involved up top.
Mm-hmm.
Effective. It seemed to really affect the way he was trying to run at the back of a defender when they're both, kind of retreating into the our offensive zone, their defensive zone. He got, fouled, whistled a few times on coming over the back. And a couple of those I would be like, yeah, I've seen those not be called as well in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's just the way it was going today. So I think part of that refereeing decision also impacted our ability to get a little bit more of that moment of brilliance out of a long ball here or there. And with that, I think Okonkwo had one or two nice, lead passes through that I haven't necessarily seen come off for him, which was nice.
Yeah, but again, we also saw some kind of randomness in distribution going out from him as well.
Oh, if you one point that EOC had the ball coming back to him, and he had a simple layoff to Okonkwo, and really no pressure, and it purposefully played it off to the side of the net just in case.
Just in case.
Here, like you have everything.
Yeah.
Don't even look to the left of you. Just play it up the right side. So,
Yeah.
but I really hope that that AO kind of gets that confidence back. For me, and it's been discussed a long time. Since we've seen him kind of get rotated out for Howard. Parkey is trying to put the trust in him. I don't blame Parkey for the way that he's been handling AO, kind of coming back a little bit early, sure. But he's tried to give him the space, and now I think it's up to AO to find that confidence back for himself. I don't think it's anything else that we can do from a management perspective. He has the whole faith. I mean, these are big games on the road, and we're getting the results, so hopefully that just lends to him finding that confidence earlier than later in the season.
Yeah, so okay, let's there's a bit of talk in the chat here, so I'm going to jump on it. I'm going to jump back to our attackers again and talk about them as a group. So we have Smith and Rodriguez up the front, and some people are calling for Fletch to play with Smith. Now I think this is the same old problem with Fletch, is if you start him from minute one, he's not going to do as well. You've got brand new 20-year-old defenders that are going to be bags of energy. And Fletch is not going to get into those empty spaces as easily. He's not going to get the space. He's not going to get the extra step where he needs it. So I don't think it's just not suitable anymore. If we get injuries or whatever, okay, he can do it occasionally, but he's just not a starter. He really isn't.
And look, my opinion is that we lost a little bit of Fletcher's output when we started trying to force him into 45 minutes at a time. It's an incredible run of being able to score. What was it, 3 on the spin there, or was it 4? But his ability to come off the bench and kind of know like what's expected there. I think it comes again to that point of where the defense is a little bit more worn down. Their stamina is dropping. And his physicality is a little bit different because he's so solid, through his feet and through his hips, that he doesn't just need to try and get aerial, because that's a lot of the ways that he scores, but just throughout the game. I mean, he is wearing on tired legs with his challenges and really engaging and getting hip to hip on defenders when they really don't want to be. So I think that's where he's most effective. I just don't know what we can we talked about it a little bit before, right? What do we get out of J-Rod, here going forward? We need to let him test that new avenue. But hopefully that link up play shows up, because what's the other option? At some point, right, we have to put somebody in. We have to rotate somebody in there. Who does it become? It doesn't seem like Marriott is anywhere close to to full fitness when it comes to league games, just from his usage of 5-6 minutes. And even when he's out there, it looks like he was working, his work rate was a lot harder when he was playing for a full 70 earlier in the year. So I think his legs are still coming. What's their other option? That's what has me a little bit worried.
Okay. Well, Fletcher is now leading our goals with 7 with Max Clewett and with Elliot Lee. So that's really interesting because of the amount of time he's actually played.
Feel absolutely fantastic.
So I was curious as to how many minutes he's actually played. And I've been doing it here while I've been listening to you. All right. So Fletcher is absolutely the highest for goals per minute. So goals per minute for Fletcher comes in at 1 goal every 110 minutes, which is nuts. Right. So basically every second game.
Is for 40 in a year.
Yeah. Next up then, is it Lee or Max?
See, now Lee and Max have both been injured. We kind of forget that, Max had that unfortunate knock early. So I'm going to have to X on that.
Okay, Lee. 281 minutes per goal.
Tell me Max is like 282.
No, 371.
Really?
An extra 100.
Oh, I guess I didn't.
He actually played a lot more matches, and he plays the whole lot of the match. Lee has been coming on for substitute duties, so he's down a little bit more. But I just thought that was interesting. So you're getting basically 3 goals out of Fletcher for the same amount of time that Max is on the pitch. Now, in fairness, Max is a defender, so I'm not trying to exactly compare the two of them, but just for fun. I thought that would be interesting.
So with that in mind, because as we get further along, Wickham isn't going to show signs of showing down. Kone looked great. I was kind of flipping in between, and he was right back to his old self. Like the question becomes, do we have enough output offensively to secure the win? Because it's gonna be wins more than 2 draws. Rather take a win loss than 2 draws. And do we have that output, available? 1-0 is beautiful from a results stance, but I don't know. Is that output enough? Or are we going to get, are we going to be here still wondering what do we have from a force as we move into, playoffs? Hopefully it's just an automatic qualifier, but we need to see output. At least that's my.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to this one in a second. Where's he gone? There.
Oh, that's okay. Fair one,
yeah, Steve. Yeah. I'm going to bring up a different question, different comment that was put up earlier if I can find it. Let's see if I can do this quickly because it's gone back a long way. Sorry about this, guys. No. Okay. The gist of it was. It was from one of the Birmingham guest fans here, and he was saying that after seeing how Bolton have hammered them today, he thinks that we definitely need to go up in second because you don't want to be playing them in the playoffs. So I do kind of agree with that. However, Bolton are a different team against us, I think. I don't think Bolton can walk through us. We've played them 3 times now this season. So I think it's a much more balanced match between the two of us than maybe happened today with Birmingham. For some reason, they just clashed and it didn't work. But we've played them enough now to know that we could get past them. Do we want to play them? Absolutely not. With the style that we're playing, and how we're playing these matches, it is a style to go up automatically. It's the style to win the league, although Birmingham is going to trounce that this season. But it's defense wins you titles. That's kind of the way we're playing this season, and I don't want to go into playoffs with that. So with that being said, because I did want to bring that up from earlier, if you want to answer this question quickly, because I just thought it was worth putting up there, because Steve has put up a lot of comments similar to this there in the chats, and I didn't bring them up.
Yeah.
And I think you need to go. So
yeah, I have a cheeky response to it, Steve. I would say, and it's going to be the game winner against Wickham, and then I don't care. But now, honestly, yeah, what do we have? We have is it 12 games remaining? I haven't taken a look at what's left here. Somewhere I might be way off, but I would say 2/3 of the games he needs to score. From the output stance of it to make it worth $2 million. I would say at this level, and with it being the business end of the season and not seeing our production, I would like them to 2 out of every 3 games here on out.
Okay. Looking at the balls we threw at Smith tonight, all these high balls that he's trying to take down from the air and break through the defense and go one-on-one with the keeper. He got close a few times. And it's very difficult to get through an offside trap when the ball is coming in that high. You can't move the ball, but the defenders can see exactly where it's going to land, and they can step up. And then what do? You have to break the offside to go and get the ball, so it's a very difficult thing to do. And he tried. Who else do we think could take down those balls and get that close? That's the thing.
I would say no one. Right. Yeah. But for those balls that we're talking about, like, that should be the cherry on top. It's the same reason we had issues with Mullen when he was coming back, and why we looked for different options is that when you have the chances in front of the net, you have to take them. And I think that's where part of Steve's frustration is coming from, along with mine. Outside of those ones that are coming over the top and trying to run down, he's had 2 golden opportunities now with his head, and part of your body you can score with. So Sam, score.
Get onto your heading drills during training, Sam. Because we like a headed goal at Wrexham.
I mean, we've seen that. Like, well done. I mean, way to go in there. I think that was Sam that clashed heads. Yeah, it was. There. So hey, he can put his head on something. Just make sure it's the ball and not turf. No, I appreciate that comment. All kidding aside, of I don't think we have a striker that can do what's being asked of him. Like, the production isn't there, but then again, our goals against. So if you look at it as like a whole unit and system, there's clearly something that's being done where we're not, losing 5-3, at our opening home stance, like we did last year. So that's appreciated. But man, when you have your chances, please just finish them. So
when you get the easiest of chances, please just try and finish it. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I do have to drop, Patty, but no, thanks.
No problem.
Me on the Tuesday here, up the town wins the win. It's the business end of the season. Keep getting the away wins. I don't want to see draws. That's the last thing.
Yeah, we need to pull out these wins if we're going to get close to that automatics. I do think Wickham will drop at some point, and we can pull those points back. But it's in our hands. There's 12 matches left, as you said. We're going to need about 8 of them.
Yeah.
So that's not a simple task. Yep. Okay. Take care, Zach. We'll catch you again. Yeah. Goodbye. Cheers. So, guys, who is next? Is anybody coming in to talk with me, or it's going to be a quick one this evening? It is almost 1 a.m. my time. I'm good to stay and chat with you guys, but this show is about your say. So I am looking for some more guests. I will throw the invite code up once again. Come join me, guys. And I will hit the chats for a little bit. Okay. Tez, just because Fletcher got the goal isn't everything. There's a very simple way of viewing things. Yeah, like what's the value of Fletcher? Because look at all the goals he's scoring in only 110 minutes, every 110 minutes. But it's not as simple as just simple metrics as to value. Now he's great value, in my opinion, but guys, some of these players we might have to wait on getting the value out of them. It's a long contract period. It's not just the first 3 or 4 months or 6 months or 5 months or whatever is left in the season from January, depending on when they came in. But yeah, we played a very different style today. We did do the long balls, of course, over, but we played around with the ball a little bit more. We got caught today a couple of times. We barely survived, but we got the job done. So what other topics do you want to talk about? Sorensen. Okay, Kevin. Sorensen seemed to have great energy. I was surprised to hear he was coming back from injury. Well, unfortunately for Huddersfield, they have a lot of injuries that people are coming back from. But Sorensen was a nightmare today. Every time he had the ball, I'm going, oh God, here we go. Danger every time he had the ball. It really was annoying to look at him. And fair play to them. But this loss to us today did hurt them. They are right down in 6th place, about to get knocked out of the playoffs now. So I'm delighted for us, of course. And c'est la vie. Okay, Kevin says, much love to the traveling fans who made so much noise tonight. Yeah, that's fair play. There was a lot of voice today, actually. You could hear it a lot in the commentary. A lot of talk in the chat about the ref. And Palmer and Mullen. Now, Steve, seriously. Honestly, if we'd started Palmer and Mullen, that's a 3-0 game. No, it's not. You're trolling now, Steve. Okay, let's go back. Anything else? Okay, here we go from K2 Rito. When they realized we were using the wings, they went wider, and when they did, we played down the middle. Parky did his homework, and it shows. I have mentioned Parky, and I did give him a little bit of props. He seems to be trying to change up and improve options, rather than doing the same old, same old. He wants to seem to get through the middle a bit more, and if we can open the left channel, the right channel for crossing in, and get some play down the middle, we will become a much more dangerous team. And that seemed to happen. We had much better control in the second half than we did in the first, even though, look, they had their chances in both halves of the match. But if we get that right, we are going to become very, very dangerous. 1-0 wins for the rest of the season are going to kill me, but if we win them, then we're going up. And if we're going up, who cares? John Hills is talking about Barney is comparatively quite one-dimensional. Longman has a number of ways to hurt you. This is mentioned a little bit earlier, but yeah, I do agree. The only problem I see with Longman is sometimes he is going it alone to try and find those ways to hurt you, because the team is just not aware or ready to see what he's going to do. So it's not natural with the rest of the teams, but it has to be done. He has to be given those options to show the rest of the team where he's going to put it, where he can attack from, and what he can do. And just simply having Longman attack into the box towards the left, and also the option of going to the right out by the wing in order to do the cross, just that is opening up another attacking option and another attacking vector that the defenders have to pay attention to. So that is a big positive. The negative being he's not quite up there with the rest of the team yet as to where they will be, what they want, what they're used to, versus what he sees opening up in front of him. So again, these new players that are coming in, it does take time. But if we can keep winning at the moment and give them the time to make those improvements, then we could be in very, very good shape. Okay, this was the comment I was speaking about earlier. It was a little bit further back than I thought. From Eamon Kavanagh. Eamon, Blues fan, well done tonight. Important win for us, yes. After watching Blues get battered at Bolton, suggest you avoid the playoffs. He thinks Bolton will get in them and will win them. Very possible. It is very possible, absolutely. So guys, I am nearly done here. If nobody else is coming in to join me, we are going to finish up before the 1 hour mark tonight, which is a little unusual, but I guess everybody is happy and gone home to bed or having a few beers or whatever you want to do to celebrate our win for this late evening. So that is fine, guys. I think we had a good chat tonight, even though we only had one guest, which is unusual. Also, Ken and Aaron couldn't make it tonight either. But that's fine. You just had me, and surely I'm enough. Yeah. Well, guys, on that bombshell, I'm going to say good night, and we will see you before and after the next match.